Alright, today we're going to go over our tablet and how to put it together. So first off, you start off with the basic necessities, the motherboard, as well as an adhesive pad that releases heat from the CPU and the chipset. It comes with a charger and a cord, along with the screen, ribbon cable, the display, and the battery. Some smaller components that come with it are the micro SD card reader, some wiring, a Wi-Fi antenna, along with buttons, 2 cameras on a ribbon cable, 2 speakers, 2 speaker grills, and some small components for the camera. Alright, so starting off, we're going to start by heating up the soldering station and touching it to the plastic on the inside of this little ring right here. You melt the plastic and then you stick this little trim piece inside of it until it sticks. And there's also some knobs on the inside. I didn't get a picture of that, but there's some little tabs on the inside of the case. You touch those with the soldering iron as well, and that will also adhere the ring to the case a little better. Alright, so start off by removing the plastic sheet that covers the inside of the touchscreen, and then carefully place the display within the frame. Keep in mind there is another screen protector on the display itself, so you're going to have to remove that as well. Be sure that the ribbons line up in place and nothing is caught onto anything. You want to make sure that the display clicks into place with these little tabs on the edge of the frame. So there are multiple of these around the edge of the frame that you must push in order to securely put it within the frame. Alright, so the next step would be placing the adhesive pad onto the chipset along with the GPU. You want as much coverage as possible on the chips on the motherboard, so that way as much heat will get displaced as possible. Alright, this is a picture of showing how to put the motherboard into place. You're going to want to tilt it upwards and slide it into place. That way all of the inputs and outputs are correctly in place. And here's a video showing how to do that. You want to make sure it securely snaps into place and everything's lined up. Alright, so there are some screws that must be put into place once the motherboard is put into place. On this picture there are 1, 2, 3, 4 screws that must be put into place, but I believe there's one more on the outside over here. Before placing this small motherboard, not necessarily a motherboard, but it attaches to the motherboard onto the volume rockers, you want to take a piece of buttons off of the plastic piece that comes in the kit and place it within here. It's going to be a little bit of a tough fit, but it snaps securely into place along with the lock button. Next thing, you take this piece and screw it into place with 2 screws, and you want to make sure these are lined up. And right here will go this little holder. These also have 2 screws that must be put into place. This holds the motherboard into place along with the display. So that little ribbon cable shown earlier, with the exposed wires on the end, the best way to do this is to fold it like a little S and kind of crimp it down. That way everything secures into place a lot easier. And then solder it in place. Make sure they match up and no solder is touching one another. That way there's no short in the circuit. These are some brackets that go on the outer frame of the display to hold it into place. All they take is 1 screw each. Be sure to secure the ribbon cable into the motherboard. I'm sorry. This connects the display to the motherboard, allowing the user to have input and output. Next thing we're going to do is add the micro SD card reader. It's not recommended to solder it into place because it can get really sloppy. However, if you are really experienced, you can do so. It only takes 2 screws to put it in place. Alright, so this is the camera. Start off by attaching the ribbon cable to the motherboard and then positioning it in place and adding this little bracket that goes around it so that way it holds it in the correct position. Okay, so these are the speaker wires. Make sure red wire to the plus sign, the positive terminal, and the black wire to the negative terminal or the negative sign. Do that for each speaker. And here's the Wi-Fi antenna. The Wi-Fi antenna attaches on the side of the frame, allowing for better signal. It has an adhesive pad on the back side of it, allowing for a nice stick and to where it won't move anywhere. The Wi-Fi antenna attaches where it says antenna 1 or ANT1. It attaches to the positive terminal located here. There's also another antenna terminal located here. However, it's recommended to apply it to this one. The speaker grills must go in place inside the case. They have an adhesive pad on the back side, allowing to fit into place. The battery must be stuck in the right position in order for everything to fit correctly. So it goes in this position right here in between the motherboard and the outside of the frame. Here's the negative terminal, and here's the positive terminal. Do not hook these up until ready to put the entire case together, until the entire tablet's ready to put together. Also, the antenna is soldered in place now, in antenna 1, and this is what it should look like. There's this little sponge that has an adhesive back on the back. This must be stuck on the back side of the camera. The speakers must be attached on the inside of the case before or after the grills are attached. They have an adhesive back as well, and they just stick inside the case. They have little indentations on where they go. And this is what everything should look like whenever it is almost fully complete. The last thing needed to do internally is to attach the battery wires. So here's the negative terminal, and there's both. Make sure they are not connected. If they are connected, the ground won't be properly grounded, and the battery will not work properly. Another little side note is there's this little microphone wire right here. This must go in a little slot on the upper side of the case, allowing for a microphone to work properly. Snap the two sides together and make sure it all clicks into place. There's these two screws right here that must be screwed into place as well. And this is the last step for assembly. And here's a small video on booting up the tablet. And basically from here on out, it takes a while to boot up so we can skim through it. And I decided to stop the video as well. And of course, as soon as I stopped the video, it booted up. So this is what it looks like booted up. Everything seems to work properly. Besides that, there's nothing else to it basically. So, yeah, that's the assembly of the tablet. Thank you.